You are listening to Church Talk with Isaac.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Isaac Watson with another episode on Church Talk with Isaac. As I always do, I want to thank every last one of you who takes time to listen to this podcast. Those of you who subscribe to this podcast, those of you who download and who share this podcast with your loved ones, friends, families, colleagues. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. So many people around the world have been tuning in to this podcast and have been letting me know just how thankful they are for the content that's released through these episodes and through these various topics that we're releasing. And what I want to do today is cover another topic, actually, that was something that one of our listeners emailed me and wanted to talk about, and I think it's very important. And what they actually asked, it's a question, they asked me this: how does one discover or know what they've been graced by God to do in ministry? What steps do you take to discover that? What if you think is one thing, but it's actually been something else all along? And I want to let you know, so many people have this question. So many people have this concern, and so many people, they walk through life, and some of them walk through life unfulfilled in what God has called them to do, or wondering because they've never been pointed in the right direction. And I want to take some time just to kind of give you some practical steps on what to do, on what to look for, on how to identify what you may be graced to do. One of the first thing that I want to ask is, what are you passionate about? What do you have passion for? What comes easy for you that's harder for other people to do? What can you do gracefully or effortlessly that comes harder for others? Many times your grace, your calling, your mandate is simply locked within your passion, even before Christ. Because let me tell you this, your grace, your assignment, your mandate, your destiny, your purpose, all those things didn't start with salvation. If you're born, if you are here because you have a problem to solve on the earth. God creates people as solutions for the problems that each generation presents. So if you're here because you have grace. You are here because you have something in you that will unlock another piece of the puzzle of the world's answer, which is Christ Jesus. And it doesn't just start with salvation once again. What are you passionate about? What are some things that you like to do? What are things that brings you joy? What are things that you can actually say, hey, this is something that I really enjoy doing? Typically, your passion will be rooted in that direction in many cases. Now, I want to say this. When we deal with passion in ministry, I want to say that oftentimes when people think about, well, what am I called to do? What am I graced to do? Sometimes we can look at what other people are doing, what other people may be called to do, and we can find ourselves comparing what we are called to do with what other people are called to do, when in actuality, we got to stop doing that, because oftentimes what we have to realize is that what you may be called to do may not always be on the front line of ministry. It doesn't always have to be in the front with the people that are most visible in our churches, in our ministries. You may not necessarily be called to preach or to teach. You may not necessarily be called to have a strong gift of prophecy or to be on the prophetic team to, for those of you that may have prophetic teams in your churches where you have a consistent prophecy that goes forth during your gatherings. You may not be called to do that. You may not be called to dance or to be a minstrel or to play instruments or everything that we see that seems as if it's on the front line of the ministry. You may not necessarily be called to those things. Maybe you're called to administration. You may be very administrative in nature. Look at some of the things that you're passionate about. Maybe you love children. Maybe you just simply love people. You love helping people in any way that you can assist someone and make someone else's job easier. You will do that because you just love lifting burdens off of people. You love helping people. Maybe you are generous. Maybe you're a giver. Maybe you may have resources or connections that may help advance your church or that may help advance the people that you're connected to. You're very resourceful. Maybe you're artistic. I mean, there's a plethora of things that we can look at that we can say, hey, maybe this may be who you are. Maybe this may be what you may be called to do, or this may be something that you may be called to help in a particular area. You may be artistic. You may be technologically savvy. Whatever it may be something that that God may have given you that comes easy for you, something that's passionate that you can do, and sometimes that only you can do, that may help the people around you, and it makes you feel fulfilled. What passions do you have that makes you feel fulfilled in whatever it is that you're doing? Now, I want to give you something that I know in my life and my journey that's helped me along the way. It's really helped me to understand who I am, and it's helped me to navigate through my purpose and my identity. And it may seem simple, but people overlook it. They look for people to give you an answer. But one of the things that I found that was very helpful, very useful, is intercession and prayer. Prayer is a great tool, y'all, that God actually uses to birth his promises and his purposes in your life. And typically, y'all, what I've found and what I've discovered is that prayer usually will springboard into your passion. So some of the things you got to look at are like, after you pray, after you're done praying, what are you typically inclined to do? After you come out of prayer, and I'm talking about, like, I'm just not talking about, now we lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. I'm talking about when you actually spend time engaging with God, whether it's about things that you may see, that you may be burdened about, whatever the case may be. After you come out of prayer, or even what leads you into prayer, but let's talk about after you come out of prayer, what are some of the things that you're inclined to do? When you come out of prayer, do you typically, do you just have a passion? Do you just want to prophesy and just decree? Do you just want to declare some things after coming out of prayer? Do you have a tendency to write? Do you have a tendency to draw? Some people come out of prayer and automatically, based upon the things that they may get out of prayer, they may go into a research mode where they just want to look certain things up and research what may be going on regarding whatever areas they may have been praying about. Do you want to serve after prayer? After you come out of prayer, do you want to literally get involved in whatever that thing is that you've been praying about? Some people dream, and dreams either lead them into prayer, or after they pray, they may have dreams and they may have visions as far as the answers, the solutions, or even a storyline that pertains to the things that they were just praying about. Oftentimes, these are things that triggers and that lets us know that these may be things that God may have given us a grace to do in particular areas based upon prayer. Also, I know some people, they may be in a place where they're like, they may be in a local church, and sometimes, now this is something that's very common, something that happens a lot, to be quite honest, is people may sit within their church and they may say that they don't feel as if they're growing, they don't feel as if they are gaining anything from their church. They've not been growing in their purpose, their identity. They've been there 20 years, 30 years, whatever, 5 years, 20 years, 50 years, and they still don't know what they're called to do. And what I want to say is this: you cannot expect your church and church leaders to always know what you're called to do. I'm sorry, I know that may sound a bit different because you think that your church leaders, your pastors, are supposed to know everything about you, but you can't expect your church and church leaders to always know what you're called to do. And sometimes when we get that whole, they don't recognize the calling of God on my life mentality, one of the things we got to look at is we got to self-evaluate. And one of the things that I think helps, even with your church identifying what you're called to do, one of the things we have to look at is now I want you to look inwardly, and I want you to ask yourself, what do I do within the church? What do you do? Do you serve within your church? And this is an important question because one of the greatest ways to discover grace within the local church, if we're talking about ministry, what you're called to do in ministry, one of the greatest ways to discover what you're called to do within the local church is by serving within your local church. Where there is no service, grace is harder to find. I'm going to say that again, y'all, because I think that's something that we need to understand. Where there is no service, grace is harder to find. If you want to find what you may be graced at, if you want to find what you may be good at, where grace may be in your life, start serving within your church. As you serve in your church, pay attention to what triggers through your service, through what you're doing, where you're serving, how you're serving. Pay attention to what triggers you, and whatever triggers you, I guarantee you that there may be some space, some grace, some oil somewhere in there. Just pay attention. But if you don't serve, it's harder for you to identify what you're called to do within the ministry. If you just come, get a word, and leave, it'll be harder for you to identify what you may be graced to do in the ministry, and it's going to be harder for your leadership to identify what you may be graced to do within the ministry. Leaders are also able to identify your grace by how you serve. I guarantee you that your leaders are looking, whether it's the senior leaders or the leadership of the departments or areas of ministry that you serve in, they are looking, they are paying attention. They are saying, hey, this person is graced in this, or this person may not be graced in this, but I think they would fit well in this area. And that will be something your church community, that's something that your church community can actually help you with in discovering what you are called to do. And once you discover what you're called to do, you can grow in that thing. So listen, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Once again, I want to encourage you, keep sharing this. Share this. Check out our Church Talk with Isaac Facebook group as well. We'll be engaging in conversations on that. Continue to send me more of your questions, more of your topics that you would like to hear on this particular podcast. And I'll do my best to make sure that we are covering the topics. Doesn't matter what they may be. I want to be able to help cover these topics so that we all can grow, we all can learn. So yeah, thank you so much. I love y'all. Y'all have a great day. Y'all have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Church Talk with Isaac. If you enjoy our content and benefit from this podcast, do me a favor and subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, family, and colleagues. I'm also on all social media platforms and would love to connect with you. You can also partner with us by visiting isaacwatsonministries.com and clicking donate. Your partnership helps us to get the message of Jesus through Isaac Watson Ministries to the world. Talk to you soon.